Some events leave a deep mark on history, but none on the land. This is the site of the Battle of Hastings. After almost 1,000 years, no traces of the bloody conflict can be seen. But here, the fate of England turned. It's where a king was killed, and his victor claimed the throne. October 14th, 1066. We know what happened here on this day, thanks to this. The Bayer Tapestry. A carefully preserved, illustrated record of events. It shows the main players. Harold, the newly crowned Anglo-Saxon King of England, and his challenger, William, Duke of Normandy. William claimed the previous king had promised him the crown. So, he assembled an army and prepared to sail to England to fight King Harold for the throne. But a storm thwarted his plans. Meanwhile, Harold discovered that a Viking invasion had landed in the north. Another threat to his crown. So he raced to fight them. In France, William waited for the right conditions to sail across the Channel to England. The weather cleared. He seized his chance. "250 miles north, Harold had defeated the Vikings. Now, hearing of William's arrival, his army sped south. At 9 o'clock in the morning, on this hill, William's Norman army were ready to do battle with Harold's Anglo-Saxon men. The stage was set, and up for grabs, England itself. On October 14th, 1066, William of Normandy stood ready for battle at the base of a hill. The high ground belonged to King Harold of England and his Anglo-Saxon army. Here, on this hilltop, the fate of England would be decided. William's Norman army made the first charge, launching a direct assault on the shield wall. Though William's army fought fiercely against the shield wall, it would not yield. As one man fell, another took his place. Overlapping shields in tight formation made for a near impenetrable barrier. Realizing his army could not break the shield wall, William called for a retreat. He aimed to lure the Anglo-Saxons into a false sense of victory, causing them to break formation. William's feigned retreat was working. The Anglo-Saxon army broke their shield wall formation, leaving gaps for William to make a move. With Harold's men no longer in shield wall formation, William could pick them off as they charged. More Norman men-at-arms reinforced William's army. The Anglo-Saxons had deployed rows of spearmen to push back the invaders. But William had an answer. His sharp-eyed archers. Additional Norman archers joined the battle. Anglo-Saxon archers joined the fray, and the Normans' deadly cavalry ready to charge. But first, William's forces had to eliminate the enemy spearmen, whose sturdy polearms could easily bring down a horse. With the threat of spearmen cleared from the field, William's cavalry was free to charge at the Anglo-Saxon archers. The Anglo-Saxon army was in disarray. Their shield wall had been neutralized, and their numbers were dwindling. Now the only thing standing between William and victory was King Harold himself. The last of Harold's men encircled their king, prepared to lay down their lives to save his. Anglo-Saxon King Harold had fallen. In the confusion, some loyal soldiers fought to the death, while others scattered in panic. Leaderless and defeated, the last of the Anglo-Saxon army fled for their lives. The Normans celebrated victory over the English king, but William's quest to rule England was just beginning. At the Battle of Hastings, the death of one man changed the course of history. The Anglo-Saxon King Harold was killed here, on England's south coast. His army defeated by William of Normandy. Anglo-Saxon rule was over forever. At Westminster Abbey on Christmas Day 1066, William was crowned the first Norman King of England. Now he had to secure power across the country. He began by stamping his mark on the landscape, building cathedrals and castles at strategic locations. Nothing like them had been seen in England before. They reminded the Anglo-Saxon population exactly who was in charge. But not all were content with living under Norman rule. Anglo-Saxon revolts broke out across the country. King William acted quickly to crush these rebellions. But there was one region where dissent was spiraling out of control: the north of England. In 1069, a group of lords from Northumbria formed an alliance with Viking invaders. Together, they approached Norman-held York, a large city with an important cathedral, still protected by ancient Roman walls. But the walls couldn't save York. The city and the castle fell to the rebels. William's new kingdom was under threat. He had to get the city back under Norman control. William had no choice but to order his men north. But as the Norman forces set off on their long march towards York, how much resistance from the rebels would they encounter? William the Conqueror marched north, with his army of Normans determined to take back the rebel-held city of York. But in his path stood rebel towns that harbored William's northern enemies. He would take the towns back by force.
Certes. Incontinent. Retrayez vos amouets. Affaiblissons.
The Normans captured the town of Middlethorpe, establishing their presence in the north. With reinforcements to his armies soon arriving, William would need more resources to supply them.
Escoltes, colones!
Attendez, certes. Si comme vos voldrez. Je suis votre serveuse. Quand je commande, avance. Ici! Incontinent. Avertissez votre courage, compagnon. Retrayez vos amours. Soyez prest, compagnon. Accessments vos, compagnon. Chevalier!
With the Fulford rebels eliminated, William was one step closer to York.
Compagnon.
Knowing he would face strong resistance in the city,
Soyez prest, compagnon. Retrayez vos amours. Incontinent. Avertissez votre courage, compagnon. Pour votre service. Avant, compagnon.
the Normans discovered the source of the Danes' threat, an outpost on the water. William had a choice: bypass the encampment, destroy it, or pay the Danes the gold they demanded.
Accessments vos, compagnon.
In destroying the Dane outpost, William stripped the rebels of a crucial ally. William's ultimate goal was within his grasp. All that remained was to enter York and destroy its keep.
L'heure est quand je commande avant. Quand je commande avant. Attendez les commandements. Apertisez votre courage, compagnon.
Non descuida. Barats pour la bourra. Rat terra, bene. Barats? Obedio. Barats! Odio. Produite, servientes!
Avant, compagnon.
Parates, servientes. Audience.
L'heure est de besoigner. Attendez les retrayez vos amours. Apertisez votre courage, compagnon. Avant, compagnon. Je suis votre serveuse. Quand je commande avant. Access vos. Quand je commande avant.
Bene audite.
Avant, compagnon.
Quascara formata. Cavalarios, quitamos. Sagita in arco.
Au nord-est de Bayers. Quid mandes? Si comme vos voldrets. Incontinent. Certes. Access vos, compagnons. Attendez les commandements.
The Norman army poured into York and began sacking the town as they bore down on the keep.
Accesmets vos, compagnon. Retraignez vos à moi. Certes. Avant, compagnon.
The keep fell to the Norman army, and York was secured. The Northern Rebellion was over, and William the Conqueror was uncontested as King of England. William the Conqueror had recaptured York from the rebels. Now he wanted to teach them a lesson for defying him. He began a brutal campaign of destruction to crush any further resistance, known as the Harrying of the North. Villages and crops were destroyed. It is said 100,000 people were killed. With ruthless efficiency, William the Conqueror had secured obedience in his new kingdom. But it wasn't to last. It would be thrown into chaos by his own children. When William the Conqueror died in 1087, his favorite son succeeded him, King William II, known as William Rufus. But 13 years into his reign, disaster struck. While out hunting, he was killed. William's youngest brother took his place as King Henry I. But there was a problem. At the time, Henry's elder brother, Robert, Duke of Normandy, had been on crusade. When he returned, he was furious that Henry had grabbed the throne. From Normandy, Robert attempted to invade England to claim the crown from his brother. But he failed and returned home. In retaliation, Henry struck back. In a reversal of 1066, he crossed the Channel and invaded Normandy, intent on undermining his brother Robert's rule. His first target was Bayeux. This rich and splendid city was one of the jewels of Normandy. Henry was to begin his campaign by unleashing his forces on the city. Bayeux was about to feel the wrath of the English army. In the brotherly feud over Normandy, King Henry I set out to make an example of Bayeux, a town still loyal to his brother Duke Robert. Henry's archers took up position on high ground outside the city and faced an immediate attack by Robert's cavalry patrol. Having deployed their palings, Henry's archers were well protected against the cavalry charge. They defeated the first patrol. As Henry set his sights on burning Bayeux, more reinforcements arrived to join his army.
Yeah, way Wigenda.
At me no word. Fereth.
Extra bor, hierba.
Grites, in the sun!
The English approached Bayer and saw that its towering stone walls would not be breached by manpower alone. Henry would need siege equipment and a defensible location to construct it.
Stand in the yard! Today is none but done! Ut readeth nu, Tulkis. Forth warde, Frekkes, mit baldenes. I shall lede jou. shall lay the young! Knickers, stand in the yard! It's livet to hear them! Fortwarte Freckes, mit Baldenes!
Henry now called for the services of a blacksmith to bolster the siege effort.
Yes, sir. West to Hala. Each a will a hew a wood.
What's their faith, eh?
Tinchebre shall veil. Ich eum ye dom. It shall be Tinchebre this. That Tinchebre shall bail.
Cheerless hair.
That surely bail Tinchebre. Ich eum ye dom.
With the power of battering rams, the English army could crack open Bayer's mighty walls.
It is earth village.
Abuga strelboren.
Cheerless.
It is Sita for
Ram Ringas. Yebrekende.
Look how you ready, Freckes.
You never Angevin!
Bayer's walls had failed, and Henry's men could now storm the city. Robert's garrison made a last stand to defend Bayer, but Henry would show no mercy in cutting them down and burning their city.
faster nu. Je sadly at uppe.
You mit Baldenes! Armokritus, ja! Kritus, stand näher! Armokritus, ja! Und mit Rotu!
Bayer'S Järnway. Bayer'S ho.
Wasted Järnway!
As Bayer burned and the people fled in terror, King Henry basked in the victory over his brother Duke Robert. But Henry would not stop until all of Normandy was back under the English crown. While Bayer burned, King Henry pressed his advantage. Seizing key fortifications and buying the loyalty of powerful lords, Henry loosened his brother's grip over Normandy. At Tinchebre in 1106, brother would fight brother for final claim to their father's lands. Determined to claim Normandy and capture his brother, Duke Robert, King Henry besieged the castle at Tinchebre. But the direct assault on the formidable stone castle was failing. Unable to breach the towering walls, the king devised a new plan to capture his brother. Henry would force Robert to defend his lands from attack by razing the villages of Martigny and Fresnes.
Ich liebe to hear it. Dute is non burdel. Alles with.
Hartes je Hände!
To goad Robert out of his stronghold, Henry's men would burn the village to the ground.
Patience is only a tool. Each will.
The village of Martigny was destroyed, but still Robert did not emerge to face Henry outside the castle. Henry would have to raise the stakes. Next, he targeted the village of Fresnes.
But mean a word.
Henry could buy reinforcements from nearby allies, if he could procure the gold to pay them. Henry received word that Robert had sent for a fresh army to aid in defending his position at the castle. Henry had to eliminate these new forces before they could combine with the garrison at Tinchebre.
Readeth nu, Tulkas. He shall lay the young. None shall meet them.
By eliminating Robert's incoming army, Henry had thwarted his brother's attempt at strengthening the castle's defenses.
Andente to serve.
Henry sent gold to his ally in men and received fresh reinforcements.
It is Sitha for Actus. Fortguarde Frecus, mit Baldenes. Look a be thee ready, Frecus.
Henry sent gold to his ally in Brittany, and in return, a detachment arrived to bolster his numbers.
Yet to thee ready for Hestes. Forthward, Freckes, mit Baldenes. Certes. Ut readeth nu, Turkis. I shall lede jou. Andente to serve.
At the hands of Henry's army, the village of Fresnes was in ruins. Henry's provocations had paid off. Robert finally emerged from the castle to face his brother in open battle. Henry paid his ally in Tosny and received a regiment of soldiers.
It is Caesar for actors. All is with Tute is none borden. Certes. Knightus, ja!
King Henry's tactic of luring Robert into the open had worked. Henry captured his brother, and Normandy was his. William the Conqueror's sons had resolved their long feud over Normandy, with King Henry wresting possession away from his brother. But the French King Louis VI would not accept Henry's heir as the future Duke of Normandy. Henry's fragile power would face its first test, an invasion by the French king. In the disputed countryside between Normandy and France, a smouldering farmstead gave Above all, the English forces in Normandy had been commanded to hold the town of Fleury and await King Henry's arrival.
Yeah, way Wigenda. Veras Wigan.
Yahweh. Parenne nu.
Masters commende. Off Huerta.
Yarwa Yeowa Soda.
Yarway Eow Arler. Fatima.
Strabora, Sithe. Strabora, Berth.
As the village of Crescenville fell, all English hopes lay in holding Fleury for the king's arrival. The town of Granville succumbed to the French, and the English were pushed back towards Fleury.
Here, Ras. Forward here. Ridende ut. Rider Yaru. Ja, gau. Ja. Hurra.
And his forces made their arrival at Fleury.
Look for your beauty ready, French. We shall lay it.
Soda.
Knightus, ja!
Knowing that King Louis himself was on the field, Henry saw his chance to put England's claim to Normandy beyond doubt.
And you work it. That's Shule Bayotinbred, and you work it. Tinchebre Thail, 1/3 Tinchebre, each a worker. Yeseli.
Parties to harass King Henry and his forces.
Forward Frecus, mit Baldenes. It is... Yet to thee ready for Hestes. It's libe to hear it. Certes. At mina worde ferreth. Alles with it. Is none borden. It's libe to hear it.
King Henry's men struck at the French forces and recaptured the town.
At mina word, ferreth. Nu, Tulkes, setteth thou. Alles with it. It is Sitha for Actus. Ut readeth nu, Tulkes. Fourth Warde Freckes, mit Bayer'S. Somebody is Chatende! Victory of Mende! Nu, Tulkes, setteth thou. Ut readeth nu, Tulkes. Look, y'all be thee ready for certes. I shall lede y'all. Fourth Warde Freckes, mit Bayer'S. At mina word, ferreth. Andente to servant. He shall Dane.
Humble peasants' fields of Bremeux, two kings would settle their claim to Normandy.
It is Sita for Atlas. Ut readeth nu, Tulkas. Surface.
Saddle redendate their new!
Look at we thee ready, Freckes. At mina word, ferreth. Alles with it. Nu, Tulkes, forthwarde, Freckes, mit Baldenes. Dute is none borden. Niemand der Thomas Armas! It's living to give. Yet the ready for Hastings.
Far from home, but rallied by their king, the English army forced a French surrender and put King Louis and his knights to flight. With the impromptu battle ending in resounding victory for the English, King Henry had secured his ancestral lands under the English crown. After England defeated the French at the Battle of Bremule, Normandy was back in King Henry's hands. But 1 year later, his good fortune turned to tragedy. In 1120, his son and heir William Adelin died in a shipwreck. The future of Henry I's kingdom was in jeopardy. Henry desperately needed a new heir. With no legitimate sons left alive, he broke with tradition and chose his daughter, Matilda. Henry forced his barons to swear an oath to accept Matilda as queen. But when the king died, they broke their promise. England would not be ruled by a woman. Matilda's cousin Stephen saw his chance and claimed the throne. The crisis moved to the capital. At Westminster Abbey, Stephen was crowned king, but Matilda wanted what was hers. She was also lining up powerful supporters who would fight Stephen for her right to rule. Their conflict engulfed England in civil war. Fighting raged throughout the land. In 1141, everything focused on one of the kingdom's most strategic cities, Lincoln. Matilda's allies had commandeered the castle. But King Stephen was determined to take it back. He besieged the castle. Stalemate. As dawn broke on February the 2nd, everything was about to change. Matilda's half-brother, Robert of Gloucester, raced to break the siege. As Robert's forces approached Lincoln, Stephen's army turned away from the castle to face them. Robert could win Matilda the crown, but only if his army could win the day. Robert of Gloucester's forces approached Lincoln. Their task, to liberate the castle from King Stephen's siege. While behind Lincoln's walls, troops loyal to Matilda held the castle for the Empress. First, Robert's forces would stage an ambush to prevent enemy reinforcements from joining with King Stephen's army.
Släpping. We have it Hastings. It's to a sort to Hastings. And Shanka for Thorper.
Tema away to faren.
Hesse zullen be heren.
It's to a soort to Hastings.
Best not slew. Gap.
Tack upp med din armes.
obey thy hiss.
Robert's men concealed themselves in a sheltered grove and lay in wait for the enemy.
Fenders is in nearby.
What wilt thou?
Ich habe gefunden the foe.
We have it! Aggreten förstora! Den av armens avbider!
Robert defeated the first column of Stephen's reinforcements, but he knew more were on the way.
And shanka forth over. Ich obey thine hiss. Aliata. Ich tua sua thu hättest. Ich fortheth in hiss. Ich tua sua thu hättest.
Each sail the foe.
Beyond this hour!
With more of Stephen's reinforcements eliminated, Robert was steadily undermining the siege.
Ich tua sua thu hättest. Essa skulle bli I heren. Ich sua essa aliata. Ich obey thine hiss. Ich fortheth in hiss. Every champion!
Robert's men decimated King Stephen's reinforcements and were poised to break the siege.
Ich fortsetze es.
Continuing the push towards Lincoln, Robert sent in a large company of reinforcements to aid his vanguard. To further weaken the siege, Robert would need to cut off Stephen's supplies. He targeted the nearby market town.
Es shouldn't be here.
Freckes haken, nu hestes. Und devotas, beret. Al Suiza, yes, sir.
Ich obey thine hess.
Foliende hestes. Suet they het. Eat sail the boat! We have a clear fressen Hestes and all boven! Hestes kommer arbeiden!
Ich habe mich found in the boat!
Jede Hestes!
Matilda's cause, a large group of knights arrived at Lincoln to bolster Robert's army. With the market town in ruins, King Stephen's supplies began to dwindle. Robert received word that Welsh troops under Matilda's banner were en route to join forces with him. But King Stephen had the roads to Lincoln heavily guarded, and the route was not without risk, even for the hardy Welshmen.
Hestes cometh.
Ich shall lede jou. Ut readeth nu, Tulkes.
Making their way to Lincoln, Matilda's Welsh allies were ambushed by the king's soldiers. Robert's men would need to aid the Welsh if they wanted their help in breaking the siege. Joining forces on the road to Lincoln, Matilda's allied troops made for the castle to lift the siege.
actors. At mina word, Fereth. Fourth warde frekkes, mit baldenes. I shall lede jou. Fourth warde frekkes, mit baldenes. Ut readeth nu, Tulkes. Alles with it.
Robert's forces spotted a large detachment of Stephen's soldiers guarding the castle gates. If they hoped to liberate Lincoln, they would need to break the blockade and rout the army.
Hestes cometh, Arwe men. Bail Tripoli, on the Stirras. Foliende Hestes.
It's in Shetendeus! Look at you be ready, freckles. Warde freckes, mit baldenes. Knippes, in der Zeit. Knippes, ja! Knippes, ja! Knippes, in der Zeit. Knippes, stand there!
Robert's forces scattered the king's army, leaving the gates to the castle unguarded.
Yet to be ready for Hestes. I shall lede jou. Fourth warde freckes, mit baldenes.
Robert's men finally united with Lincoln's garrison. They could now use the castle to strengthen their army.
At mina word, Fereth.
To lift the siege, they needed to destroy the enemy camps surrounding the castle.
Therefore actus. Alles with it.
Between us they hide. Aimeth for the good.
It's not for them. Knippes, in der Zeit. Hestes, mit Baldernes!
Matilda's forces struck hard, destroying one of King Stephen's siege camps.
Ich shall leder jou! You have to be ready for Hestes. Look at jou weer die ready, Freckles. Geniet het stand in de jaar!
King Stephen's army dwindled as Matilda's forces struck down another siege camp.
Fortwarde, Freckles, mit Baldernes.
Be me, Honda, hello!
The king's army was scattered, and those who didn't fall fled. King Stephen was spotted, shielded by his men. To end the siege, Matilda's forces needed to capture Stephen and rout his army.
Here are Hestes. Second yard. But mean a word.
Stephen's army had broken through the sturdy walls of Lincoln Castle. Those loyal to Matilda had to ensure that the keep did not fall. Matilda's men closed in and finally captured King Stephen. Matilda's forces had won the battle at Lincoln. But the fight for the crown was not over yet. Victory over King Stephen at Lincoln gave Matilda the upper hand in her fight for the English crown. But in the years that followed, fragile loyalties shifted, and under threat of capture, Matilda was forced to retreat. As her holdings in England came under attack from the king's army, it fell to her son Henry to keep Matilda's claim to the throne alive. Inside the strong stone walls of the castle at Wallingford, Matilda's men held firm against a brutal siege by forces loyal to King Stephen. King Stephen's army had constructed a fortified perimeter outside the castle, trapping Matilda's men inside. However, reinforcements were on the way from Matilda's son Henry. Her forces needed to hold the walls until they arrived.
What needed be undone? Ik wil beelden dat voor sie take the worker. Ik wil hebben dat die beelden en on. Good swing around me, man. And Sealy.
Freckers, intended new. For an endgame in May. That will be all done. Already! Be ready, Francis. We'll read it through, Lucas.
Every charge and tender.
Hoping to crack the mighty stone walls of Wallingford, King Stephen's forces launched another attack. Matilda's forces repelled the attack and held the castle.
Be ready for Hastings.
Alla knickets, ja! Vi har fjärd och Hastings, tonfolk. Delping the do.
Y'all ready to done some work. Sure, let's swim her. It killed Brookie, that.
I'm Roger, reader it. Ik liebe
Readers is ready for Hastings. Ich will do that. No, Tulkas, set it here. Spill it over the sword, men.
Knickets, in the top. Knickets, standing there.
Arita, what needed worker? It will do that new. Reaper railings are not going. That building will be Reaper railed and on. Build end day that, Rita new.
Up for Knickets, yeah.
to don some worker.
Nu, Tulkes, setteth jou.
Krikas, ja! Krikas, stand in the yard! Krikas, ja! Krikas, in the top! Krikas, stand in the yard!
Hestes and old bowmen! Yeah, Hestes! Dresset jou, Arwaymen! Hestes cometh, Arwaymen!
At last, Henry's reinforcements approached Wallingford. United under Matilda's banner, the two armies were ready to engage Stephen's forces.
It is seeker for actors, and dente to serve.
Hester's for Anna here. It's me, Hester. Venom.
See fate to worker. Build that day, man!
Sweden may off to attend! Krikas, ja!
Dresset jou, Arwaymen!
We shall lay thee. Get thee ready for Hestes.
I'm sleeping.
It is seeker for actors. Look, jag vet är ready.
Sweden may off to attend!
Get thee ready for Hestes.
No Hesters are not, Tulkes.
Nu, Tulkes, setteth jou.
Boon for the Here Hestes.
Henry and Matilda's forces struck out at the besieging army, weakening the enemy's hold on Wallingford's perimeter.
Here, Hestes!
Look at you be ready, Freckes.
Peter, stand in the yard! None shall live there!
Alla Knights, ja! Alla Knights, ja!
Här will again!
Knights, in the attack! Alla Switter! Get thee ready for fourth warde, Freckes. Mid Baldenet.
Ja, right, don't ye. Tid to wenden.
At standard, spenat will I bail thee.
Ikil happy that he building anon.
Nu, Tulkes. Set it here. Freckes.
Leaders is ready for access. Food for they all. Leaders is set.
Get thee ready for Hestes. Alla Smith.
Jeppe med och Mohammed i bow. Berende.
The Freckes. It's live to hear it.
Alla Knights, ja! Too much! It's live to hear them!
It is Sita for Actus. Look at you be ready, Freckes. Ut readeth nu, Tulkes. Nu, Tulkes, set it here. Get to Andente to serve. It is Sitha for Actus. He shall lay the yow. Yet thee ready for Hestes. Look at you be ready. Set it yow. Be the word of
Knights, into the top! Up, Knights, ja! Alla Knights, ja! Knights, stand in the yard! Still on board and forward! Knights, Leaders is set, already! Alle away! Alle baka! At mina word! Vi vänder tillbaka över! Knights, into the south! This Shola who
Nu, Tulkes, set it yow.
Dute is none borden.
Knights, ja!
Attente to serve.
Matilda's forces overwhelmed the enemy and cleared the castle's perimeter.
Ready for Hastings. It is Sita for Atlas.
Dute is none for dead.
The joint forces of Matilda and Henry had thwarted King Stephen's siege of the strategic castle at Wallingford. After over a decade of conflict, Matilda's claim to the throne was still alive. At Wallingford, in the shadow of the castle, Matilda's faction, commanded by her son Henry, proved it was still willing to fight King Stephen for the crown. But after 15 years of conflict, both sides had had enough. So, they made a deal. Matilda would surrender her claim to the throne on condition that when Stephen died, her eldest living son Henry would succeed him. A year later, he was crowned King Henry II, and proceeded to grow the kingdom into the mighty Angevin Empire. But, once again, what the king had spent his life building, his own children were destined to destroy. King Henry II had 4 surviving legitimate sons, and he planned to divide up his kingdom between them. But they fought bitterly for dominance. Against the odds, Henry's youngest son, John, became king. But King John was deeply unpopular. He lost huge swathes of the Angevin Empire gained by his father, then failed to reclaim them in expensive battles. Paid for by taxing his subjects. Eventually, England's barons could take it no more. They forced John to agree to a charter that restricted his power. The Magna Carta. But he went against his word. Furious, they rebelled, inviting Prince Louis of France to invade England. In 1216, Louis sailed to Dover and set his sights on taking this. Dover Castle. Held by forces loyal to King John, it was commanded by Hubert de Burgh. He described the castle as the key to England. He was right. If it fell to the French, so would the kingdom. Asked to invade by the rebel barons, Prince Louis's French army launched an assault on the castle at Dover. Opening a crack in the outer defenses, the invading forces charged the castle walls. The garrison at Dover would meet the French with clenched fists and an iron will. Dover could not fall. Commander Hubert de Burgh rallied his men to hold back the French and defend the castle.
Readers, is ready for Hastings. This is Ultradenda Nu. For our end, David May. We've been shaken. Alonja, readers. Readers is set on ready. Set on ready.
While the castle's garrison thwarted the first French attack and prepared for a second, a new resistance force was building in the English countryside. A skilled bowman and fierce patriot, known as Willikin of the Weald, began to muster a resistance to the French invasion. Determined to keep the crown in King John's hands, Willikin would rally every available archer to the cause. Bolstered by the addition of their reinforcements, the French committed the full force of their army to a second assault on the castle. With Willikin's archers weakening the siege from outside the castle, the garrison at Dover repelled the French attack. Willikin ordered his archers to resume their strikes on the French reinforcements.
Rongeth, readers. Seek to read it.
Arita, what needeth worketh. Equal and Dane the river railing.
Get thee ready for Hastings. Folk wanted breakers, mid wilderness.
Two turns, or the hostess.
No Hestes and on, Tukes.
Agretes for Hestes.
Steerende away, Allah. Bennett, Tukes Bennett.
Freckers, intendeth no. Forward, Egre Tulkers.
Estes uncome any anagande to pushen.
Reinforced by their new arrivals, the French army was at full strength. Dover braced for a full-scale attack.
Freckers, intendeth no.
Get thee ready for Hastings. He shall lay the yow.
The hardy English garrison held fast, refusing to let the castle fall to the
Obeisance ane afu. Ich liebe zu hören.
Shayotas Bayot Lizard! Leaders, he's ready for Hastings. He can't do that. We haven't been done. Ferret.
Hastings cometh, our women. Hestes and on Foliende Hestes. Here has al Suiza, yes. Dresseth yao Arwayman, step into it Arwayman.
Clon, This is a mickle matter.
Mit Baldenes. Yetteth he ready for Hastings.
The combined grit of the English garrison and Willikin's surprise attacks ensured that Dover hadn't fallen yet. Now the English prepared to repel the final French assault.
No estas anon, Tulkes. I humbre utu wasto. Arronger, readers! Pestes for Anna here.
It is Sitha for Actus.
Set yourself.
Reader is he set on ready.
The tenacity of Hubert de Burgh's loyal soldiers forced Prince Louis and the rebel barons to abandon their siege at Dover. And thanks to the efforts of Willikin's fearless archers, England remained in King John's hands. Prior to the defense of Dover, King John's defiance of the Magna Carta had mired England in a rebellion known as the First Barons' War. Across England, barons broke ties with the crown and seized important cities, including Rochester. With his reign under threat, John deployed his forces to retake Rochester and capture the traitors. King John's men arrived at the outskirts of Rochester, set to retake the castle and drive out the rebel barons within. But Rochester was a formidable fortress that protected the route to London, and the rebel barons were prepared to lay down their lives to hold it. Before King John's men could hope to retake the castle, they would need to reinforce their position by capturing the village of Chatham.
Sia is Mina!
Sword ahead.
Ich habe gewonnen, the foe! Na, the foe, excelente!
Revolts, ja, on the way, Tende! Teresa!
The king's men secured Chatham and began preparing for an arduous siege. Rochester's keep was protected by strong stone walls. The king's army would need mighty siege weapons to break through.
Bayer Tapestry, we are fortgangen.
See?
Into the saddle, and be ready. Steady faster, into the store.
We have bid the siege engine. Pardon. Postering the siege engine. Pardon. Here are new Hestus. Me Ervin Munkas, Thien Tenta.
Fiend in troopnet!
Hestus for the engine. It will a builder. Hestus for the engine.
What wilt thou havest me do?
Ihr wollt me Hestus! Ich hab Fenster!
We are taking
The siege engines aren't here ready.
Where's han wander this away?
Carving in the runkers.
With the traders eliminated, the king's army had struck a blow to the rebels in the castle. With supplies critically low, the rebel commander discharged his weakest fighters, hoping to preserve what little food remained. Fearing further dissent against his rule, King John ordered safe passage for the surrendered rebels away from Rochester. The king's men discovered the farmlands that supplied the rebels at Rochester. If the rebels lost access to the food supplies, some of them would be forced to flee.
Following the search engine, you frickers! Getting omitted!
Friend is always reckless, misleader!
Meet the search engine! Getting omitted.
Friend is always reckless, misleader! That's not a hurta! Good!
Foreigner following the artilleries!
Nibbin friend as always!
Hit will they be undone? Doing that new. Pushing the Serge auction. Doing that new.
Yeah, ready for Hestas. Harkin alla, Hestas aren't coming. Building to put an upper.
Hestes, What Ned is pressing?
The Hestas will be obeyed.
That will I be done. Foreign men, follow in the artilleries.
Frankers, we will have in Hastings and non-read. Be obey, read a phone.
Lay back.
Good air. We have new Hestas. Meet the Says, Ongen. Foreign.
With the farms alight, King John's chokehold on the rebels was tightening.
Hestas coming.
Cut off from all hope of resupply, more of the rebels were forced to abandon the fight.
The Hestas will be obeyed.
Hey, Ben Cunning shots! Bannonhouse!
With the Says, Ongen. Foreign. What's from the Says, Ongen? Foreign. Says, Ongen's at the ready. The Says, Ongen, our foreign men, following the artillery. get ready! Is a data! Is a data!
Rochester's outer wall crumbled to King John's men, and they descended on the keep. And the keep was laid bare for the taking. The great keep at Rochester fell at the hands of the King's army, securing both the castle and the route to London. While the fight for England raged on, a desperate King John clung to the throne. When forces loyal to King John undermined Rochester Castle, it spelled doom for the rebels inside. Within days, they had surrendered. But the rebel barons weren't done yet. Their ally, Prince Louis of France, had sent an invasion force to help the barons overthrow King John. Then, in late 1216, the king fell ill with dysentery and died. His son, just 9 years old, was crowned King Henry III. It was now up to the young king's regent, the 70-year-old legendary knight William Marshal, to protect the crown. He faced a near impossible challenge. England was crumbling. Rebels were taking town after town. But William Marshal bided his time and prepared to defeat the rebels. Then in May 1217, he got the chance that he'd been waiting for. William discovered that the rebels planned to simultaneously besiege both Dover Castle and Lincoln Castle. With rebel forces split and weakened, William Marshal led his royalist army to Lincoln. The castle on one side of the city was still controlled by royalists, under its formidable constable, Lady Nicola de la Haye. But the streets of the city were under rebel control. On May 20th, 1217, the Royalist Relief Force, led by William Marshal, arrived to retake the rebel-controlled city. The future of England rode on the success of this mission.
To done some work. See they to work. Be of your death, stead of through to every chan. Hold it at on.
What needeth be undone? Yeah, so is the head.
What needeth be undone? What needeth be undone? Build end day that reads anew. God's speed if we may. See they to work. On min way. Arita, what needeth worker? Horrende fiend hester.
It is Caesar for Actus. Spilleth over foemen.
Readers is ready for Hastings. I'll do that.
Hastings kommer! Bära flipare! Understeret!
Apokrytus! Ja!
Hon
Av dig av!
See they to worker. That building will be reaper-railed and all.
Our Roger, readers.
See they to reading. Nu, Tulkes, setteth ja.
At last, the King's Knight William Marshal arrived with his forces. While a hard battle remained, there was now hope for the young King's army. In order to liberate the city surrounding the castle, William Marshal commanded the King's men to destroy the military buildings belonging to the rebels. William Marshal's forces were welcomed in Stowe, a nearby town loyal to the king.
Ich will hangin on the reaper railings nu.
Look at you be ready, Prentice. ready for Hastings. Fortfarande fräckes, mit Baldernes. Alla kanites jar. Kanites. Kanites, in the sun. Kanites, stand in the yard. Victory and honor! Alto Kanites, yeah! Fortfarande fräckes, mit Baldernes!
The King's men tore through the rebel fortifications, diminishing the enemy's military presence. The castle now faced a new attack from the rebels' French allies. If the King's men hoped to lift the French siege, they would need to destroy the enemy forts on the outskirts of Lincoln. The King's army razed the last of the rebels' military buildings, but the French siege continued.
Hestes on commander. Ferret! Tulkas Ferret!
Saddled up on the ready. Each follow away Hestes.
Every charm and 10 death.
for you to be ready, Freckes.
We haven't been a gun!
Been a word, Ferret. Shall lead you. Freckes, we will have in Hastings and on read. Economy duty. Fourth wind. They hiding at Send us always reckless misdeed! Stirring men, be thinking on the spoil.
The king's men uncovered one of the French forces' siege camps near Lincoln. The king's army tore through the French fort, weakening the enemy siege.
Hearken to Hastings, young men. The Hester is yet. Your bear be the letter. Our company will be welcome, Freckes. Fourth web, they're hiding at the back. Stirring men, be thinking on the spoil. Obeisance is me honor. An honor to go on that. Economy duty. We are taking fire!
William Marshal and Nicolas de la Haye had saved the city, and with it, the kingdom. William Marshal's success in retaking Lincoln was an overwhelming victory for the Royalists. The rebel barons had been defeated, and their French allies driven out of England altogether. William Marshal now focused on creating a stable kingdom for the young King Henry III. To maintain the backing of the rebels, in 1217, a royal seal of approval was given to a reissued Magna Carta, limiting the power of the monarchy. Many barons held lands in both England and Normandy. But now they faced a choice. On which side of the Channel would they make their home? Many chose England. The cross-Channel kingdom was over, establishing a clear English identity. But the impact of the Normans on England's evolution is still felt today. Almost 1,000 years later, the surviving Norman castles and cathedrals still dominate the landscape. In the midst of the modern city, William the Conqueror's fortress, the Tower of London, remains a powerful reminder of their legacy. But it's the unseen influence of the Normans that endures. The Norman invasion changed the English language and established the foundations of modern parliament and governance. And it's all because one man, William the Conqueror, claimed the English crown that he believed by rights was his. The Normans conquered a country and changed the course of England forever.